Would you like to know what southwestern Montana is like? In this video, we're going to take you on a tour through Dillon and the rest of the I-15 corridor in southwest Montana. So let's start out by taking a look at this map here. We'll be heading south on Interstate 15, right off I-90 before you get to Butte. You turn on 15. And it is one of the parts of Montana that's just beautiful, and there is nobody out here. It's 123 miles from I-90 to the Idaho border, and there's only 4 towns that you go through, and I would 3 of the 4 have a population of less than 200. So there is not a lot of people out here, but it is just one of the more scenic and historical parts of Montana, with Dillon being the only town that has many people at all, and it only has 4,200 people there. So Dillon is actually the first town you'll hit as you come south from I-90. It's about 62 miles south of the I-90 turnoff, and Dillon was started because of the gold rush they had 25 miles west of there in the town of Bannock. So a lot of the buildings here are very historic. There's an old hotel that you'll see in a moment that was built in 1897, and a lot of the buildings in the downtown area are still very historic and old, and you just get that old west feeling about it. Now that the gold rush is over, this town is basically services all the ranching and the ag industry that surrounds this whole town, and the whole valley all the way up to I-90 is ranches. And the history in Dillon is pretty amazing. This hotel right here is the Hotel Metlin. Like I said earlier, it was built in 1897, and it cost $30,000 to build at the time. And it's also been featured on the Ghost Hunters TV show. Apparently it's very haunted. You also have this museum that's located right in between downtown and the hotel I just showed you. And across the street from this museum, you can see the old historic architecture and some of these original buildings from back in the 1800s. And this building right here was an old train depot that they've redone, and now they have plays in there. The history around Dillon is great. And on the south end of town, you have the University of Montana Western, which is a public 4-year college, and it has less than 2,000 students. And the campus is pretty small also. It's only 20 acres, but it's a pretty little campus, and it's a good school here in Montana if you want to go to a rural university. Most of the students here are going for their education degrees, but they also have a lot of ag-type degrees as well as general studies. So as you head south out of Dillon, you'll come past this large plant here along the highway, and they don't mine gold here anymore, they mine talc. And it's all produced here from the surrounding mountains and brought to this plant. And kind of another interesting thing about Dillon. So continuing south on the highway, you'll head into Clark Canyon. It's about 8 miles outside of Dillon, just past the talc plant. And now you're getting into a pretty remote part of Montana. Between here and the Idaho border, there just isn't a whole lot. It's very pretty, and you're following the Beaverhead River right here through this canyon. And up ahead, they built the Clark Canyon Dam, which created the Clark Canyon Reservoir. And this spot also has some Lewis and Clark history to it. This is the spot where, during the expedition to the west, they stored all their canoes and supplies for their return trip back from the Pacific. So if you're into that kind of history, this is also kind of a neat spot to see here in Montana. So continuing on, we get into those big towns I told you about earlier, the first one being the town of Dell. And this town has a population of 35 people. So if you're looking to get away from it all and not be around a lot of people, here you go, Dell, Montana. This town is made up of a few houses, a store, a gas station, and of course a bar. And it's basically here to service the ranches that are in the area. and there's not much else in Dell. The next town you'll hit as you head towards the Idaho border is Lima, and this town has a population of 180, so it's way bigger than Dell, but again, tiny in the scope of towns. There's a motel here, there's a few more stores, a few more houses, but not a lot else, and you are out in the basically in the wilderness here, and you're very close to the Idaho border. Only 15 miles to the border from here, and about 49 miles back down to Dillon. So once you get past Lima, you start heading up towards the Monida Pass. And an interesting thing, all the passes or all the connections between Montana and Idaho are over a pass. I've heard that once upon a time they tried to run the border along the Continental Divide, but that didn't work out. But anyway, all the roads going into Idaho are up over a pass. This one being no different. This is Monida Pass. And this isn't a pass like you think with big cliffs and drop-offs. It's more of a gentle slope, but you can run into some bad weather up here. It gets very windy and you'll get a lot of blowing snow, and you just need to be careful and make sure that the roads are good and the weather's good when you go over this pass. But like I said, it's a little different than normal mountain passes. And there is this little town up here. I don't know if you'd call it a town of Monida because it has a population of 2. So that ends the tour of this section of Montana. And it's, again, a very rural section, pretty section. You're in the mountains all the way through this area, but just not a lot of people out here. So if you want to live rural and you want to be remote, this might be the part of Montana that works for you.
Thank you for watching our video. Please call, text, or email for more information. And don't forget to watch our other videos about Montana.